Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us. This is your weekly angelic horoscope transmission from your weekly astrology angels and your daily guardian angels. So we're going to be able to give you a little bit of a daily heads up with your daily, the 7 daily guardian angels. You can check each day of the week, and then for the week, your astrology angels for all 12 signs. And this is for the week of July 19th, Sunday through Saturday, July 25th. I'm Pastor Rosemary, the astrology angel. Thank you for joining us. Now this week, the angel that came through is the powerful commander in God's mighty angelic army, Sarel. And he's like a warlord. And he's found in the book of Enoch. And he's used quite a bit in the gaming industry, especially among the Japanese gaming industry. He's used quite a bit. And sometimes, in some circles, he's confused with Metatron, but he's not Metatron. But he has specific functions, and his functions are to help those that are quite high up when they need to have sort of a breach between the two worlds, sort of seeing through the veil between this world and the next, and to be heralded in to their next incarnation, be it in heaven or be it to reincarnate back on earth to completely correct whatever was not corrected. Because all that reincarnates is that which needs correction. That which is perfect does not reincarnate. So when you have become perfect, you no longer reincarnate. And you can do that in 1,000,000 lifetimes. You can do that in one lifetime. It's up to you. It's just up to you. Now, since Sarel is an angel that is associated with the Greek god Apollyon, and Achilles is associated with Jesus Christ, you sort of have a situation where, if this makes any sense, like in Genesis 3:15, it says, "I will put enmities between thee and the woman, and thy seed and her seed. She shall crush thy head, and thou shalt lie in wait for her heel." This is a Dewey Rheims Bible. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. Dewey Rheims. I think I'm saying it right, but we'll find out. All right, so that's the archetypes, because all the angels can be associated with all the Greek gods, and they can all be associated with the Egyptian gods. Everybody has, people who say that they're monotheistic, if they have any kind of any being other than God, then they've already entered into some kind of pantheon of paganistic gods. If there's anybody other than God, the Father, you've already entered into something else. You've entered into a form of paganism. Okay? So people can say they have one God and choose that God, and that would be it. And that if you want to be monotheistic, you do have to just choose one. That's true. And then if you want to get really specific, you have to be picky about the culture and the language that you're utilizing, and say that this language is superior to this language, and then we get into being discriminatory against people's languages. Well, we'll find out. Okay. So remember, with all that said, the point is, the prince, this is from Sarel, the prince of peace, the King of kings and Lord of lords, has returned and is ready to tally the deeds of those who have been in his service. So you might want to just do what you really feel, what your deepest instincts tell you is the most, not only clean, but what feels just, you can feel it. It feels like a great, like you're being washed in the blood of the Lamb. That's what it feels like. You feel clean when you find out that, when you find that place in your mind where it feels very clean, and you don't feel you have a lot of confusion. Confusion is not born of being intelligent or of studying things. Confusion is born of thinking that there's anything other than just the good, and that everything works together for good for those who love God and serve His purpose. Idolatry, again, is when you think there's anything that could oppose God. It's just His right and His left hand. He blesses you with His right hand, and He curses you with His left hand. He turns His back to you, it's a curse. He turns His face to you, that's a blessing. Okay, we're going to go over from starting Sunday. We're going to go over the days first and the daily guardian angels and their messages for you and the planetary aspects and facets that these are derived from, because it's all the same thing. And then we'll go over your 12 signs and the angels of those signs and their messages for you for the week. So for the day, for July 19th, that's Sunday. Sun is in Cancer and Moon opposes Neptune, which is retrograde. Archangel Michael, you will understand your feelings better if you reflect on your past behavior with great discernment and just a pinch of judgment. July 20th, Monday, Moon in Virgo and Moon trine Pluto retrograde. Archangel Gabriel, Moody. You are moody. You will become more moody. Just don't lose your temper, but instead use anger felt to become sprightly. So sublimate, again, in a crisp fashion, and you'll feel much better. Archangel Camaeel, July 21st, Tuesday, Mars is in Cancer and Sun trine Saturn retrograde. Archangel Camaeel, beware spitefulness when the light is shown on the unjust laws of men that stand in opposition to the laws of the Most High. That's pretty self-explanatory. You don't want to, as the light is shown upon how things have been done in favor of some and not in the favor of others, and how people have kind of changed that in their favor, and that was the reason all along, wasn't it? To kind of change things in somebody's favor. There's always somebody, who's benefiting. We always have to figure out who's benefiting from this, and if they're benefiting, that means I'm not. We better do something about that. So maintain what Camaeel is saying here is maintain your magnanimity. I think that's a word. Maintain that. And because the light is going to be shown more and more and more on things that have been fair and not fair, and people that scream that they're not being treated fairly, and then we find out that they're actually the ones that are doing something, that is to victimize someone else. But then they can say, well, we were victimized. And again, that goes back and back and back, and it all goes back to the original moment when the will to bestow created a will to receive, and that had to create just a hatred and an explosion away from, and that was the Big Bang. So everything that we're doing is to come to the conclusion of that, which is going to be very good for everybody. So everybody just understand that, and then we won't have so much of this, well, this person did that to me and all of that. Okay. On July 22nd, Wednesday, Mercury direct in Cancer and Sun ingress into Leo on that day, and Mercury trine Saturn, which is retrograde. Archangel Raphael, holding on to familiar mores, grants safety while the light of reason and compassion illuminate the darkest corners of the human heart and the human psyche. So, Raphael is saying here that this, in a way similar, that this becomes more of an internal understanding to lessen confusion, whereas your own conscious mind illuminates all the shadow side of oneself. Hold on to your mores to avoid confusion, because the dark corners of the human heart and the human mind are going to be illuminated. And we need to hold on to our personal mores, our personal what we think is a personal law that we should follow. And that will see us through. And of course, please remember that each of these, when you think people are saying, well, like this contradicts what you said before, kind of like when people pick the scriptures and say, well, the Bible contradicts itself here, or this holy book contradicts itself here, whatever you might be utilizing for that, that might have been true on that day at that time for that person, but it's not necessarily true tomorrow for somebody else. Because God's great clock changes. And we have been asked to watch it, to watch the clock. That's where we get the word watch from. We're supposed to pay attention to the heavens. You know, so all of this blood moons, and that's very much Christian astrology, is it not? Okay. On July 23rd, Thursday, Jupiter in Leo, Mercury ingress Leo, and Mercury conjunct the Sun. The Archangel Metatron. Benevolent intent pervades consciousness when both the right and the left brain functions of emotional, symbol, and provable logic respectively are used in harmony. So here we have a situation where people want to be able to predict. And the more we know science and the more we understand nature, the more we can predict. However, it's not just through the left brain and the way the left brain measures time that is predicted or predictable. Symbols overshadow that. Suggestion overshadows that. And at that time, because the right brain doesn't work in time, there is no time in the right brain. And in the pineal gland, you can find where those two things merge. And when those two things merge in the pineal, however you want to say it, you have a situation where those two things work together for good. Wherever two or more are gathered in my name, there shall I also be. So if the pineal is Jesus Christ, the unicorn, the right and left brain, you know, we have the left brain that chops things up, the sword, and we have, you know, the word chops things up, and the right brain is that which is the symbol, and which is that which is, you can't really, it's more of a creative aspect. Christ is, when those two things are there in the name of Christ, the pineal gland, the unicorn, then we have the attainment that God intended. Now, we've said this before in some other videos, but we'll say it again. We've said this in past videos. In Egypt, the Pharaoh alone had this ability. And now he's granting this ability to everyone. Now everybody can be the Pharaoh. That's the difference between the Egyptian religion and the new Christian religion that we're moving into, where everybody has their pineal engaged, that Pharaoh, and everybody becomes Christ consciousness. Again, we've said this before. We'll say it again. Okay. Now we're going to go to Friday the 24th. That's Friday, Venus in Virgo and Moon square Sun. Archangel Uriel, home is where the heart is, but the collective unconscious competes with the power of the will. This is not really the right and left brain as much as it's that the collective, sort of the dark matter, which has to compete on that day, not oppose, but compete with the power of the personal will. On July 25th, Saturday, that's Saturn retrograde in Scorpio, and Venus goes retrograde in Virgo, Mars square Uranus. Archangel Cassiel, what you will do and your personal philosophies compete for supremacy due to apparently unfair treatment. So people feeling like they've been treated unfairly on that day will find that they might have personal philosophies that say, well, I would do this and I would do that, but when it comes to what they actually do, when it comes to their actions, there's quite a competition that will go on that day because people think they've been treated unfairly, and they one part of the self is fighting for supremacy over another part of the self. That's what's going on. Again, all these things are within us. They're not something outside of us. They're inside of us. Okay, now we're going to look at the daily, the weekly message from your 12 signs of the zodiac. Your 12 astrology angels will go over each sign from Aries through Pisces, from the head to the tail, and we will give you the angel, and this is for the week. Those were the dailies, the weekly, the 7 and the 12. It mimics the human spine. Aries, Mechidael, big things come your way if you go with your first instinct. Taurus, Asmodel, you have been precise in your reasoning, but you will soon backpedal. Now, why do people backpedal? People say, oh, you're backpedaling, you're flip-flopping, you're waffling. Guess what? They may be ruled by a planet that goes retrograde a lot, or by two planets that go retrograde and stay there for a long time and then move more slowly. And that happens to everybody sooner or later. They're going to come in, if their ruling planet doesn't do that, then they'll come into some kind of aspect with a planet that does that, and in their attempt to understand and be empathetic or sympathetic with that planet, they will, they might seem to waffle. So, we get to the point where if you just want to cut everything that isn't perfect, you'll have nothing left. Nothing, including you. Let's take a look in the mirror, folks. Okay, Gemini, Umbriel, easy friendships are yours when you remember to laugh off negative people. Cancer, Muriel, allow yourself to receive the gifts of the present given by the Most High. Key word there is the present. Present has more than one meaning. Leo, Virgo, you are easy to read, but that is familiar. That is a familiar state of affairs that makes you likable. So it's not always bad to be predictable, and it's not always bad to be, something that people know what you're going to do. Okay? Now, Virgo, Hamaliel, tell people what is expected of them and then stick to it if you want to prosper. Libra, Zuriel, beware second-guessing yourself at the end of a sublime week because things have gone your way. Scorpio, Barchiel, you feel a bit like the teeth have been removed from your plans, bringing out an engaging, childlike vulnerability, but nature always finds a way to restore balance. Sagittarius, Adnachiel, go for the gusto in life and don't let petty gossip upset you. Capricorn, Hanael, life is like a ride in an amusement park where you lock in, trust the mechanism, and buy the goodies they sell you at the end. Aquarius, Cambriel, you are all in with those in possession of a pitiless attitude towards everyone, including you. Because then they're serious, right? Pisces, Amnitziel, your interest in the cinematic and the bizarre leads you to investigate what is typically forbidden. Now, we used an ephemeris that was calculated on Eastern Daylight Time, and we've extracted these sources from the Zohar and Rosicrucian Kabbalistic sources, and then our own understanding of these things. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us. I'm Pastor Rosemary, the Astrology Angel. This is your weekly angelic horoscope transmission. Join us again next week.